The diplomatic summit on Station Kepler-7 was supposed to be humanity's crowning achievement. Representatives from 43 species had gathered in the gleaming orbital platform, suspended between 3 star systems connected by carefully calibrated wormhole anchors. Commander Mira Thorne stood in the observation deck, watching dignitaries mill about below, their translator implants creating a symphony of overlapping conversations. She had spent 6 months preparing for this event. 6 months ensuring every detail was perfect, every protocol observed, every cultural sensitivity noted and respected. The Galactic Council had been skeptical about allowing humans to host such a significant gathering. They considered Earth's species too young, too unpredictable, too emotional for the delicate work of interstellar diplomacy. Mira was determined to prove them wrong. The announcement system crackled to life, interrupting her thoughts. She expected the scheduled reminder about the evening's banquet, carefully worded in the 17 most common galactic languages. Instead, a sound emerged that made every human on the station freeze. It was a cry, high-pitched, desperate, and unmistakably young. Then came the words, repeated in a loop that overrode every communication channel on the station. "Return her! Return her! Return her!" The voice was small, breaking with distress, and it carried an edge of determination that sent chills down Mira's spine. She activated her command tablet, trying to trace the signal's origin, but whoever had hijacked the system knew exactly what they were doing. The broadcast was bouncing through every relay, making it impossible to pinpoint. Around her, alien delegates shifted uncomfortably. The Thaxorian ambassador's crystalline form refracted light in agitated patterns. The Kelvorian representative's tentacles coiled defensively. Confusion rippled through the assembly like a stone thrown into still water. Mira's second-in-command, Lieutenant Chen, appeared at her elbow. "Commander, we've got a situation in Habitation Ring 7. "Show me," Mira said, her jaw tight. The tablet screen displayed security footage from the lower levels, an area designated for support staff and their families. A maintenance hatch stood open, and small footprints in the dust led directly to the communications hub. "How did a child access our primary systems?" Mira demanded. Chen shook his head. "It's not a human child, Commander." Preliminary scans suggest Vexi physiology. Mira's blood ran cold. The Vexi were one of the most enigmatic species in the Council. They rarely left their homeworld, and when they did, they traveled alone. Their young were considered sacred, never seen by outsiders. The fact that a Vexi cub was on her station, alone and desperate enough to hijack communications, meant something had gone catastrophically wrong. She moved quickly, Chen following as she navigated through the maze of corridors toward Habitation Ring 7. Other security personnel joined them, but Mira raised a hand, signaling them to maintain distance. If a Vexi cub was involved, approaching with force would only escalate the situation. The communications hub door had been pried open with remarkable strength for such a small creature. Inside, surrounded by blinking terminals and severed cables, crouched a being no larger than a human 5-year-old. Its fur was a deep midnight blue, and its 6 eyes gleamed with bioluminescent tears that traced paths down its face. Small claws gripped a makeshift control panel, and its entire body trembled. "Return her," the cub whispered again, its voice raw from crying. The announcement system amplified the words across the entire station. Mira knelt slowly, keeping her movements gentle and unthreatening. "Hello there," she said softly. "My name is Mira. Can you tell me yours?" The cub's eyes fixed on her, calculating, afraid. "Vexi. I am called Vexi." A species name used as a personal identifier. That meant the cub was either very young or had been separated from its family before receiving a proper name. Mira's heart ached. "Vexi, I want to help you. Who do you need us to return?" "Mother. They took Mother." The cub's voice cracked. She came to speak, to tell them about the concordance, but the Harveth don't want peace. They took her, said she was dangerous, said cubs don't matter. The Harveth. Mira's mind raced. They were a militant faction within the council, known for aggressive expansion policies. They had opposed the summit from the beginning, claiming it gave too much influence to lesser species. "Where is your mother now?" Mira asked, extending a hand slowly. Vexy's bioluminescent tears brightened. "Ship, Bay 12, Harveth delegation ship. They're leaving, taking her away." The cub's voice rose in panic. "Please! Humans are supposed to be good at impossible things. Everyone says so. They say you don't give up. They say you fight for those who can't fight." Something in Mira's chest tightened and then released. This was it. This was the moment that would define not just the summit, but humanity's place in the galactic community. She could follow protocol, file complaints through proper channels, watch as bureaucracy ground slowly while a mother was torn from her child. Or she could do what humans did best. She tapped her communicator. "Chen, Seal Bay 12. No ships launch without my authorization. Security Team Alpha, converge on the Harveth vessel. Non-lethal containment only." "Commander." Chen's voice was uncertain. "That's a direct violation of diplomatic immunity protocols?" "Noted in my file," Mira said calmly. She looked at Vexy. "We're getting your mother back." The next 30 minutes were chaos. The Harveth delegation protested vehemently, citing dozens of regulations and treaties. Their ship was sovereign territory. This was an outrage, an act of war. Mira stood firm. She had her security team surround the vessel while she personally boarded, accompanied only by Chen and a xenobiologist named Dr. Patel. Inside, they found Vexy's mother in a holding cell, sedated and restrained. "She was becoming agitated," the Harveth captain explained with cold indifference, "for everyone's safety." "A mother separated from her cub tends to get agitated," Mira said, her voice steel. "Release her, now." "You have no authority here, human." Mira stepped closer, and though she stood half the Harveth captain's height, her presence filled the space. "I have all the authority I need. This is a human station. And we have a very simple rule. We don't separate families. We don't cage the innocent. And we sure as hell don't let bullies operate under the cover of diplomacy." The standoff lasted another tense minute before the Harveth captain relented, likely calculating that the political fallout wasn't worth the confrontation. Dr. Patel administered a reversal agent, and within moments, Vexy's mother was conscious, her own bioluminescent tears flowing as she was escorted to the communications hub. The reunion was transcendent. Vexy launched itself into its mother's arms, both of them speaking rapidly in their native language, a melodic cascade of clicks and whistles that needed no translation. Later, as the summit reconvened, the Vexy mother addressed the assembly. She spoke of the concordance, a proposed alliance of smaller species seeking mutual protection and shared resources. She spoke of threats and intimidation, of attempts to silence voices deemed inconvenient by larger powers. And she spoke of humans, a young species that had shown her what true strength looked like. Not the strength to dominate, but the strength to protect, the strength to choose right over easy. The diplomatic fallout took weeks to resolve. The Harveth delegation filed formal complaints. Several council members expressed concern about Mira's reckless actions. But 40 species signed the concordance that day, including 3 that had never before aligned with any galactic faction. Mira Thorne received both a formal reprimand and a commendation. She framed neither. What she kept was a small, hollow image, Vexy and its mother, standing beside her on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. On the back, in careful translated script, were 3 words. "We remember kindness." And across the galaxy, humanity's reputation shifted. They weren't just the newcomers anymore. They were the species that, when a cub cried for help, moved heaven and earth to answer. They were the ones who meant it when they said, "No one gets left behind."